I've been living here in Wuhan, China for about 6 months now, and I thought it would be a good time to stop and reflect and share with you, what it's like to just live life here as a 60-year-old in Wuhan, China. So if you're new to my channel, I'm Gail. I moved to Wuhan, China about 6 months ago, like I just shared, to teach English at a local university and to do some exploring of this beautiful country. I do have a summer cold now, so I've got a cough drop that I'm sucking on. I may stop to drink some water from time to time, but I do want to share with you what life has been really like for me here in Wuhan, and then also, what surprised me about moving to China. So I just want to talk a little bit about what life is like normally here as a 60-year-old in China. And I'm assuming if you're watching this video, you're curious. Maybe you're thinking, oh, is this something I would want to do? Maybe you're a teacher and you're totally burnt out and you're looking to move here. So I hope I can answer some of your questions about life in China. Now, I am working at a local university, so there's lots of different kinds of English teaching jobs you can get here in China. I chose this one because it's almost like retirement. And because the workload is much lower. I work maybe like 14 hours a week, but it's full time, and it comes with a house, you live on campus and all that kind of stuff. So the pay is a little bit lower, but it's like semi-retirement for me, and I'm just loving it. Like right now, I got back from traveling for 3 weeks, and then now I'm home. It's almost a month. I'm just resting and stuff before the kids are going to come in 2 weeks. The students come back. So I want to try to pound through all the list of the things that surprised me, and hopefully you'll get an idea of what life is like in China based on what I'm going to share. My life is very, very normal here in Wuhan. I do my normal routine. I get up, I drink my coffee, I meditate, I pray for my loved ones, I work out. I just finished working out just now. If it's work time, I do my work. And then I do my evening routine, take a long walk at night, about 3 miles, and, watch my shows on my streaming services. It's just a really normal life. And I'm pretty able to access the things that I need to, live as a 60-year-old American living in China. So there's that, right? What surprised me, and so I think I was expecting that. I'm pretty adaptable, but what surprised me is the amount of quiet and green space. So these two, the quiet and the green, I think I don't know if it's our media, I was anticipating more gray and just more cement and more just dirt, I guess. I don't know why. I don't know if it's our media or if I just was thinking that, but it is really quiet here, and it's probably because I live on campus. So, I'm teaching at a local university. Part of our package is an apartment, and it's right on campus. Not all my friends choose to live here. They do live in other apartments, so they have to cross a busy street to get here. But I think I was envisioning my experience at UW-Madison when that's a huge university, and our dorms were on campus, but you were just in traffic and it was noisy. It wasn't quiet at all. But I am basically living in a park. That's how I think of it. It's just this beautiful, humongous park that is well manicured. Like they have beautiful trees, like the crabapple blossoms and the cherry blossoms in the springtime, followed by the humongous rose gardens in May, and flowering trees, weeping willows. This campus is on a lake too. So every night I take a walk and it is quiet. Right now the loudest thing is the cicadas. They're just really noisy. But usually, or in the daytime, the loudest thing is the birds. And that's even when the students are there. The students are just quiet. They ride their bikes, and they're not noisy. They ride their bikes, they ride their electric scooters, and it's just a really quiet environment. So I've mentioned before in my other videos, I have been suffering from chronic fatigue. I've got, a thyroid issue. And so this quiet has really done me some good. Wuhan it's called the city of 1,000 lakes. So there's lakes everywhere. And then around these lakes are parks. And I wasn't expecting that. I guess I didn't do my homework before I came about, what it was going to be like. But it's just beautiful. There's so much green space. And most countries intentionally have green space, but here it's just special. Plus, this is a big country. It's the size of the U.S., so there's diversity. We went to the mountains a couple weeks ago, and they were spectacular. I haven't posted that video yet, but it was unbelievable. And then I've heard people like to go to Inner Mongolia, and it's all green with rolling pastures, and then Yunnan province. So it's a big country with a lot of beauty in it. And along those lines, there's a lot of green technology, and it's very forward thinking in terms of, green technology. So most of the cars that you see on the street are electric vehicles, and the majority, 99% of the scooters that you see are electric. So, if you go to Taipei or Hong Kong or Cambodia, Thailand, you're going to see all these loud scooters everywhere. And they're gas-powered scooters, and they're noisy, and they pollute the air. So when I lived in Taipei, this was a long time ago, you would come home, it would be really hot and humid, and your neck would be just like having dirt in it from the smog and all the stuff from the scooters. And so it's just clean. The air is cleaner here. The electric vehicles are much quieter, and it's really exciting to see this country invest so heavily into this green technology and try. The other thing that's really cool is the freedom. So this kind of goes hand in hand, like freedom and safety, but let's just talk about freedom first. So what I was surprised about is how free thinking people are. So my students specifically, I would give them homework, and some of the answers, they would talk about women's issues, mental health, volunteerism, other topics, food safety. I would give them homework, and then they would have to express themselves through their homework, either with a writing or a voice recording. And some of the things that they think about, there's just really diverse thinking and diverse conversations that these students have. So I think because of our media that we get in the U.S., you think, at least I was led to believe that these students are going to be more uniform in their thinking, and they're not going to be thinking outside of the box or questioning things, doubting things. And it hasn't been my experience. Also, the safety piece I would like to talk about. Now, the safety is not surprising to me, but I want to share it with you because, especially if you're a woman over, in my age group or even any age group, it's very, very safe here. The crime rate is very low, and that's because there's cameras everywhere. So if you don't want to, have cameras watching you, then don't come here. But I am perfectly fine with it. Why? Because I'm not scared. I like going out for my evening walks. Like if I need to go out for a walk at night and I want to, or if I need to go run an errand, I'm not afraid at all about anything. It never even crosses my mind that something bad is going to happen. I'll walk along the lake by myself and nobody else will be there. I'm not scared that somebody's going to jump out the bushes or whatever, because there's cameras everywhere. Like people can't get away with crime because they're being watched by these cameras. So that is something good. And then the other thing is that housing is safe too. So, my friends, they live off campus and they live in these housing complex. Well, they have gated entrance, so you have to face scan in, and then there's a guard there too. So there's a guard and there's face scanning, and we have that at the university. There, you face scan in and there's a guard. So I feel like it's just really safe. So for me, I like that safety because I'm free to live my life without fear of somebody hurting me. And I like that my students, they're not afraid. They don't, they can go around and not be afraid of anything bad happening to them. That really makes me happy. So the other thing, and this is totally a reason to visit here, if not move here, is that the cities are super big and modern. And there's just all this new modern technology. For example, we have driverless taxis here in Wuhan. I know we have them in San Francisco, but I've never seen them. But in Wuhan, the first time I saw it, I was like, oh my gosh. And they're always testing out these new technologies here. And the cities are just modern. Like there's a lot of modern things here in Wuhan. It's a massive city, for one thing. And so just so much to see. But the only way I can describe this is when we were in Shanghai, my friend and I, we looked at each other and we were like, we don't even feel like we're in what we thought was China was supposed to feel like. There's the ancient parts that you go to, but then there's just like these normal parts where it's just like this big, huge, beautiful city, and with all this modern technology and modern conveniences and things. So totally worth coming here, if not for a visit, if not to move here, but at least to visit. Just so much to see. And I can't wait to go to Chongqing. That's my next city that I want to see. I just heard it's amazing with all this cool buildings and different technology. The traffic is a lot more orderly than I was expecting. So I had lived in Taipei for 7 years. That was back when I was younger. And so I was kind of expecting that same feeling where the traffic is kind of like swimming. So some of these Asian countries, Taipei, I don't know if it's like that in Hong Kong, but Thailand for sure, Cambodia, some of the countries that you visit over here, it's like swimming like fish. And so everybody's looking forward, and that's the rule of thumb. So if you're looking forward so if this driver's coming this way and this person cuts in front of them, it's not considering cutting in front, it's just considered swimming. And so this person is expected to look in front and just slow down and let that person go. And then later, if that person comes in front, then this person would have to slow down. So that's how the traffic works in these other countries. In China, I'm not seeing that in these bigger cities. It's more orderly, there's blinkers, and also there's not a lot of these, like the roads aren't completely filled with scooters. There's a lot of scooters, they're all electric, but most of the vehicles are cars. And so I see a lot of cars on the road, which I wasn't really expecting. I was expecting scooters, and it's just organized that way. And the other thing too is the streets are very, very clean. They hire people to clean the streets. So like my campus is really clean. You don't see garbage all over the place. And when you go walking on streets, it's just really clean. There's not litter. The garbage cans aren't overflowing with like garbage that no one's picked up. It's just really clean and tidy. And I've been to 6 cities now, and all 6 of them is the same, just super clean. So definitely not. I mean, I wasn't expecting filth, but just that surprised me, and it's a really nice surprise. The same thing for the bathroom. So public restrooms also have people assigned to them cleaning them. So for example, if you go to the metro station, which is our version of the subway, those restrooms are going to be clean. Now, a lot of times you're going to find squat toilets, which can be challenging if you're over 60. You really have to practice your squats and being able to get up and down from the squats. But there's more Western toilets here than I was anticipating. So that was a pleasant surprise. You can usually find a family restroom that has, some disability-friendly Western toilets for elderly people that aren't able to squat, which I don't consider myself elderly, and I can still squat, but I would rather not if I don't have to. It's just, more convenient to not have to squat. So but the bathrooms are clean, and almost every bathroom that I've been to so far in 6 cities, I really haven't come across one that I think is just, I'm not going to go in there. Whereas at home, at public restrooms, I can't say that, right? It's very easy to get around here. So I've got this app called Alipay, and it's on your phone, and it's linked to your bank card. And then within your Alipay, that's where so they call it Didi, is our version of Uber. So your Didi app is linked to your Alipay. And so you use that same app for everything. So you can go out, you can call your car if you don't want to take a car. And the cars are so inexpensive. Like you can go all the way across town for like $5 US. It's just very convenient and inexpensive to take a Didi car to get where you need to go. But if you want to save money and use the metro, which is the subway, that too is so easy and very inexpensive. And you use your same Alipay, but you just go to a different section, and then there you just scan in and out to use the metro, and it just charges your bank card. And the same thing for the bus. So you use that same app for everything, and it's just really convenient and easy to get around. The other thing that kind of surprised me is that in these bigger cities, things are translated into English. So all the 6 cities that I went to, all the street signs, had English translation under. So it was really easy to read where we were going. I would pull things up on our A map, and it would be translated into English. My Alipay has a translation piece on it. So, if you're calling a Didi, you can call it in English. So it's easy to get around here, much easier than I thought. And if that's something that you're nervous about, rest assured, it's very easy. And along those same lines of easy is it's just really convenient to live here. Every housing area is also in a little neighborhood, so it's very easy to run out and shop local if that's what you want to do. There's usually restaurants that you can go eat at, or there's grocery stores in every neighborhood or convenience stores. And so it's just very convenient, but most people order online here. So it's just really easy to order online. They have an app called Taobao, and it's very similar to our Amazon. So I kind of go three ways. First, I shop local. Then if I don't find what I want, I go to Walmart, which they sometimes have things from America or just things that I like. Like I like to eat almonds and walnuts, and I can get them there, whereas I can't get them locally. And then if I can't buy off of the shelf, then I'll shop Taobao, which is, like our Amazon. So there I've been able to find almost everything except for my Tresemme hairspray. So my hair is like all wilty all the time. So I got to figure that piece out. But I've been able to get everything else like that I need, like my face stuff and, everything, almost everything else except for that Tresemme hairspray. So, and it's so convenient. You just, order it from your phone, which is also linked to your bank card, just like Amazon. And then right on campus, we have a little store and we go pick up our Taobao stuff. They deliver it right here. It's so convenient. And then a lot of people, it's just kind of what you do is you order your groceries to be delivered. I haven't really been cooking since I've been here because I eat on campus and it's free. But most people just order their groceries to be delivered and they just get them delivered. And then like the other thing too is you can get things delivered at all times into the night. So if you're like, I have friends with kids who get sick, and they can order medicine from the pharmacy at 2:00 in the morning and it'll get delivered. So it's just like kind of DoorDash times 10, right? So, and then like we go out for dinner. I've got another friend, we'll go out for dinner, and she likes a certain kind of yogurt and she wants to eat it for dessert. And so she'll just, after dinner, order her dessert to be delivered to the same restaurant that we're at, and then she'll get this yogurt that she likes. And so that's just kind of a thing. Everybody just gets things delivered all the time here, and it's just part of life. So it's really, really convenient. Life is really convenient here. So I told you all of the good things. I do want to share one last good thing is that there are a lot of Western restaurants here in Wuhan, more than I was expecting. I thought Shanghai and Beijing, they would have them, but here in Wuhan, if I want to go out for a really nice burger, I can find one and not have to go to McDonald's or KFC. There's a lot of really good Western restaurants here, it's just a nice to have if you are sick of Chinese food or you just kind of miss your home food. But I think it's a good idea to balance out now all the good stuff because life is normal and it's really good for me. And there were things that I was expecting to be challenging. And that was one of the reasons I wanted to come over here because I was trying to get out of my comfort zone. But I want to share some of those things with you. And the first thing that you should consider if you are thinking of moving to China, and especially if you want to take a job that comes with housing is, you got to take what you get. So if you looked at my apartment video, this apartment that I'm living in is very, very simple. And the way that they do things is just different. Like I came in and the walls weren't painted. They were all dingy and scuffed up. And I'm probably not going to paint. So that's why I just sort of got things to cover things up. The furniture, most apartments come furnished. And the furniture was just really old. And I can't go running around complaining saying, I want new furniture. No, you just take what you get and you go with it. But the apartment is pretty comfortable. It comes with this wonderful heater / air conditioner that you'll see it if you look at my apartment video. I wasn't expecting that. I was thinking, oh, I'm going to have to buy a window unit or I'm going to have to use space heaters. No, these apartments have these massive heater air conditioner units. So that was a pleasant surprise and makes things very comfortable here. The other thing about housing is related to the plumbing. So if you watch my apartment video, you'll see that, we have what's called a wet room where the bathroom is all, the toilet and the shower, it's all just, you're showering right in your bathroom without having a tub or a separation. And so not all apartments are like that, but most of the simpler ones are. And so and the plumbing can be a little iffy. So I find myself plunging a lot in my toilet. And you do not flush your toilet paper. So that is something to get used to, because you got to keep this waste basket there, and it can get stinky and you just have to empty it a lot. And so that's just something that's a little bit uncomfortable that, we're not used to at home, because we can flush our toilet paper. And then, when I move into apartments, they're usually all painted and cleaned. And when I first moved in here, it was a little dirtier, and, they cleaned it. It wasn't awful, but I just, I'm 60, so I'm a mom. So I'm used to these kind of like standards of cleanliness. And so I remember just sitting here looking like, oh, I just got here and now I have to clean this place, and what am I getting myself into? And, I left that beautiful apartment in Milwaukee, but now I'm very comfortable here. I love it. And I'm so happy on campus. So it's, you just got to be ready to live simply if you're going to take the leap, and housing comes with it. Now, some of my friends teach here, but they choose not to live here. They live on campus and they just pay for these really nice apartments, and they're like $500 a month. And then they probably pay another $100 for utilities and internet or whatever. So you can live really, really well here for $600 or $700 a month. So that's the other thing. If you don't teach at a university, you get another job that pays a little bit more. Then you can just get your own apartment and really live well here in China for a very reasonable price. The other thing to consider when you're moving, it's really when you go to any new places, you got to figure out what is the communication culture like. So I remember when I moved from nonprofit to manufacturing, just totally different cultures, different styles of communication, and you really have to adapt and try to figure out, what's the best way to communicate with these people. So same thing, you're going to move to a different country, you better figure out how they communicate. So when I remember, I lived in Taiwan for like 7 years, and I remember when I first moved there, they don't answer things directly. There's less direct communication. So I remember thinking that people were lying to me, but really they were just kind of weaving around. So if you ever looked at a Chinese painting, there's more, landscape, and your eye isn't drawn to the exact spot in a Chinese painting, whereas Western, there's going to be Western art, your eye might be drawn to like one spot. So that's kind of how we communicate, is we try to get to the point. Whereas in Chinese culture, there's a little bit more weaving around until you get there. And so you just got to get used to that and maybe alter a little bit, like work on the relationship. They call it guanxi here. You work on the relationship and make sure that you're just not, going in there so directly, because it might not work very well. And then also, Chinese face is a big deal. So face is like your ego or your pride. So saving face is a huge deal here. So you want to make sure that you're always saving face and not going in and just yelling at somebody or telling them that they did something wrong. You want to make sure that you're using communication in a way that helps somebody save face. So, and the third thing about communication, I noticed this in China, is things are very last minute. At least that has been my experience. Like things get kind of pushed back to the last minute. And so, for example, if you had something planned for your day off, we actually have a day off in the middle of the week too. Ha ha ha, I didn't tell you that. So we have all this vacation time, but then during the week, I work I teach 14 hours a week. And then we have a full day off in the middle of the week. So, this is amazing. And so on our day off, you might plan something, but then the night before you might somebody might send you a message, your boss, and say, oh, you have to do this. And then you just have to change your plans because at the last minute they decided to do the thing. Or you might be planning for something like to teach a class, but then at the last minute they might change it or something. So you just got to be ready to go with that kind of stuff here, because that's just how we roll, right? And that's how it goes. And so you can't be too set in like, oh, in America or in the West, we do it like this. No, you got to let go of all that stuff because you're in a different country now. The last thing that I'm going to talk about is just paperwork processes. And I did have this in Taiwan as well. So there's some different whenever you're doing your visa or maybe your banking stuff, it can get kind of cumbersome and a lot of just wonky things happen. Or like, for example, I turned in my medical form and they were like, oh, you needed to have the clinic do a stamp down here and up here. And so they rejected it and then sent it back to me. So a lot of that kind of stuff happens, and it can be like, oh, am I doing it right? Is it going to go through? And so you just also got to kind of roll with these paperwork things. And if you move here, you're processing your visa, they keep your passport for like 30 days, and so you're just waiting on it, hoping that everything's going to go through, and it usually does. So everything worked out for me, but it's like kind of like nail biting stress as you're going through it. Okay, I lied. There's a couple more things that I do want to mention before we end this video. The first thing is you need a VPN if you want to access your sites like Google or Facebook or YouTube, things that you're used to accessing at home. China has their own websites. You can get into Microsoft, but you can't get into those sites. So you get a VPN and then it works fine. Mine can be a little wonky with my streaming services, but it always works itself out and I don't have any problems with it. The second thing is, I don't want to mislead you. It does get really, really crowded here outside campus. I'm living this very serene life, but outside campus, especially in the tourist areas or during public holidays, it is really, really crowded. And I actually like that. I think it's fun, but my friends they don't like it as much. So I enjoy going out into those crowds. So just something to keep in mind if you're going to travel here or move here. It can get crowded and it's not as quiet outside of campus or outside of your housing area. The last thing is just consider the weather. So in China, it does get really, really hot in the summer. So it's 40 degrees Celsius here in Wuhan, which is like 100 degrees and super humid. So just keep in mind the weather. The best times to travel here would be in the spring, like April, May, even June was really nice here. And then in the autumn, October, late September, October, November, those would be like really good traveling seasons. So hopefully this video has given you an idea of what life for a 60-year-old is like in China. And I want to thank you so much for watching. If you made it to the end of this video, what an honor it is to have you join in my journey, especially to those of you who subscribed. If you have any questions, absolutely drop a comment below, and I'm happy to interact and answer any questions you might have about life in China here. But again, thank you so much for watching and joining in this journey, and I will see you in the next video.